The death toll from those earthquakes that struck Turkey and Syria earlier this week has now climbed to almost 12,000. Rescue and recovery is a top priority, and countries are rushing aid to the region. But for Syria, the story is complicated. Western sanctions were imposed on the regime in Damascus because of the civil war there, and that means sending aid and equipment to the disaster zone is not so simple. Syria has now requested assistance from the European Union. The European Commissioner for Crisis Management, Janez Lenarcic, says that Western sanctions are not standing in the way of sending aid to Syria. Take a listen.
There is nothing there that would hamper the delivery of humanitarian aid and emergency assistance, especially not in situation in which Syrian people find themselves after this terrible earthquake.
Well, I spoke earlier with Amar Al-Salmo from the volunteer organization, the White Helmets, and I asked him if he thinks that aid will reach Syria despite the sanctions.
Actually, sanction, as all Syrians know, that sanction doesn't hinder humanitarian aid to enter into Syria. The Syrian misleading the community, misleading the people around the world by he trying to exploit the solidarity and sympathy of the global solidarity and sympathy of the world to, you can say, to evade justice and accountability, and to blame the international community for not delivering the aid. The regime did not declare a state of emergency as Turkish did. He wants the aid to come under his control, to steal the aid and deprive those who are outside his control from the aid. The United Nations working and operating in Syria since the beginning of the war. They were not able to deliver aid to the besieged area. People starved in the besieged area. There was no access for them. The regime hindered the United Nations to provide help to this area. Right now, the regime is receiving aid from many Arab countries. Yeah. No aid delivered to the northwest of Syria, the area that is affected more than any area in Syria. So we did not expect any aid to come from there. The regime trying by this crisis to politicize this crisis and to get normalization and steal and cut a huge amount of the relief dollar coming to Damascus.
Mr. Awan, let me ask you. I understand there are two border crossings from Turkey into northern Syria. One is controlled by the Russians and the Syrians. The other is controlled by Turkey. Can you tell us tonight, the crossing that Turkey has to keep open, is that passable to now? Is it possible to bring aid into northern Syria with that crossing?
Yeah, aid coming from Turkey to the northern of Syria. Southern Turkey play an important role in coordination the humanitarian activity inside Syria, UN agency based in Gaziantep. But right now, the United Nations just said that they are suspending the aid because of the damage of the road. And that is not correct completely, because just yesterday and today, we received from the border, from the coast border, more than 300 Syrian dead body they gone in the earthquake in Turkey. So how these cars reach the cross border? Turkey just today declared that they opened other two cross border with Syria to deliver the aid, but no aid until now delivered into Syria.
So I want to make sure that we understand correctly. You're saying even if the international community is able to bring in aid through Syria or through Turkey into Syria, you're saying that the Assad regime is basically stealing that aid and it's not going to arrive where it's needed most, and that being, of course, Idlib province.
No, if the aid come through to Damascus, through the regime, the aid will be stealed. That's what I want to say. But the aid can be delivered from Turkey to northern Syria and can be distributed impartially by the international organization.